The Eveleth City Council meeting scheduled for 7 p.m. May 6, 2014 will now come to order. Roll call.
Councillor Peterson. Councillor Koivunen.
Here.
Councillor Lillis.
Here.
Councillor Hadrava.
Here.
Mayor Vasalovich.
Here. Approval of the minutes from City Council workshop, April 15th, and minutes.
Sorry.
I thought you were trying to push me over.
I almost went over.
And minutes from City Council meeting, April 15th. Can I have a motion that we approve these minutes as they are?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Peterson, support by Hadrava. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And approval of agenda. We have an item 13 we're going to add to the agenda then, regarding the 4th of July activities. If there's nothing else to add, call for a motion that we approve the agenda as it stands with that one addition.
So moved.
Motion made by Lillis. Do I have support? Support by Koivunen. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under appointments and presentations, appointment of Richard Hyde to the Eveleth, Virginia Airport Authority.
So moved.
Motion made by Peterson. Do I have support? Support by Hadrava. That's nice to see Rick.
I was just going to say thank you.
You know, I think you'll be an asset out there.
Oh, I do too. Very avid flyer for many years. Yeah, that was a real boon to us to have Rick sign up for that.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. At this point, we'll just open the meeting up to any visitors who have anything to say at this time. If not, we'll allow time at the end of the meeting. Come on up.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Mayor, distinguished guests, if I might approach the bench, please. Well, I'm assuming it's safe. Now nobody's screened yet.
Well, the chief is here.
Hello, Mr. Chief Quayle. Well, I'll start with you, sir, and I'll leave these here. I'll submit these for your review. For the record, my name is Lawrence Edward Bull. I was born in this town February 10th, 1960, and luckily was moved out to Wabick Township to Hutter in 62, where I had the chance to grow up a healthy farm boy and all that jazz. I'm 54 now. I've been out in West Eveleth for 20 years. On the 10th of June, starting in 96, I started receiving blight ordinance, warning letters, violation letters, and I understood back then. So I worked and I worked and I met deadlines the chief and the council proposed, and then a couple of years ago it occurred to me I've had a lousy feeling about myself and my worthiness in this town because somehow I don't meet your standards. Yet as you examine those photos taken last night at the city recycling site that's sponsored by my city and my county of St. Louis, with all those well-paid union employees driving by it every working day, that is a hazardous waste site minus the toxic, the dangerous, and the explosives. It's a dump. Over the last few years, I've been taking photos. I have videographic evidence of garbage bags flying through the street, through traffic, into the trees, into the yards of Sonia and Dan Simonson, into the yards of the Bontum's kid. They're downwind of what you can't seem to take care of. Now, I understand right now my place looks like a dump, but nobody in this town gets more excited about the recycling time than I do. And I had stuff staged and ready to go to your dumpsters and down to the recyclers. There's good money in it. And in a bad economy, when they don't want to hire a 54-year-old veteran or cowboy, you do what you can to pay your taxes. And that brings up another issue, but I'll get to that in a moment. What I realized a couple of years ago, and Chief Lillis, you and I talked about this on a Sunday, if it's good enough for you, but it's too good for me, that's discrimination. And when I try to live by your standards and I don't make it and you holler at me, that's harassment. And for the 18 years I've put up with it and people laugh at me and call me blight man, that's defamation of character. And I have all the proof I need there. There are photocopies or duplicates of those photos going to a law firm far out of this area where the Iron Range buddy-buddy system won't apply. I talked to them 2 years ago. They told me if this happens again, send them the letter, give them the call, green light this. 18 years is 1/3 of my natural healthy life of putting up with this. And if it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. Chiseled in stone above the Supreme Court, it says equal justice under law. Now, speaking of defamation of character, from one nut to another, talking about Mr. Carlson is defamatory or defamation of character. That man had more spirit, more dream, more courage than most every man in this room, and he has more heart than all of us. And every number of bad circumstances, including an angry ex-wife and floods that wiped out his income property in Duluth, put him behind the power curve again and again. And yet this winter he stayed there and he worked as a one-man band, and he has done well. I'm watching the place. I have keys. The police have found me there, scared the hell out of me, but that's okay. They didn't hurt me. I showed them the keys, all was good. 13 incidences of vandalism and break-ins. He's all right with that. He knows he can't handle it. He's in Texas talking to Dr. Whatever talked to you. He wasn't excited. All of a sudden everything went bad. You were joking about videotapes and online photos and all that high-tech whiz-bang stuff, but you haven't been through the building. You haven't seen what he has done by himself without money. And you'd be proud of him if you knew how hard he was working to make something worthwhile for this town. I wish when you talk about him, you could understand the shoes he's walking in are not a good fit. He feels very unliked. He feels this is a very hostile place, and yet he's trying very hard to put something worthwhile on that hill. You made the mistake some years ago telling him it's the second most valuable property in town, and he's proud of that. And you're not helping him at all. He's not socially graceful as I am. I'm not afraid of crowd control. I'm loud and I'm proud and I'm good at it. By the way, Mike, you should lose the beard. You're much too young for that. He's working very hard to make something nice for this town, and you're not helping. And these kind of jokes, it's a coin toss whether I'll text him tonight or not and mention what you said. I don't want to start any more fires. I want to handle my issues tonight first. Now that note says I've got 2 weeks to handle my mess, and I can live with that, but it would have been taken care of by this point other than 2 weeks ago this morning. I walked into a very good, very exciting, very hard job, and I've been busier than a one-legged man at a butt-kicking contest. Everything in my yard staged and ready to go to the recycling, but I'm working hard 8 until 5:30 during business hours, and everybody else's business hours coincide. It's all closed. It's all done. It's hard luck right now, but I'll manage. I want you to address right now the situation. Do you think I do or don't have a case against you for discrimination, harassment, and defamation of character? I don't want to get into it deeply, but Chief Lillis, you and I had a talk about it a couple of years ago. I've been working on it, and now I have photographic proof, 151 copies from prior, and 5 different episodes on video camera of this garbage in action. That's your responsibility. Those well-paid union employees driving by it every day hoping it's not their turn to pick that garbage up. A one-legged, one-eyed dog could get through that fence. Garbage, broken glass, everything lofted by the northwest winds and downrange into other people's private property.
Well, you bring up a good point, defamation of character. Larry, I understand you haven't been, how many times have you been cited for blight? Now you're...
Every 2 years for
Okay.
18 years, and it seems to coincide with about when our tax audits, our property values come out.
And, you know, people are worried about hurting feelings. Now you just say all the city employees don't do anything.
I
They did a
didn't.
tremendous, you
I
just
said they drive by it
and
without doing something. I've got proof that at 7:30 last night at the close of business hours. Now that note is marked at 12:14 yesterday afternoon.
Okay, we had a rough winter, a lot of
So you
stuff
have
to
cast
do.
the first stone for the last time. I dearly don't want to cause trouble, but there's a big pot of gold at the end of that black and blue rainbow that's been strapped to my back. And
You know, I know you're
no,
carrying...
let me finish.
Okay,
I
you
have
finish and
been
I'm gonna...
hurting about this. I'm one of the best, nicest guys, and I promise you in a bad situation, you want me at your back. I'm a combat medic. I'm a 10-year honorably discharged veteran, and I don't ask favors. But I want compassion and common sense from this council when things are being said about people, and I want you to look at your mess, and then look at my mess and ask yourself, if it's good enough for us, is it too good for him? That's the way I've been treated for the last many, many years. And if it's good enough for you and it's too good for me, and I try to approach that and you threaten me with more of these blight letters, that's the harassment. And when people come up to me and say, "Blight man, how the hell are you?" Well, sticks and stones will break my bones, but I'm 6'5", 282. Words don't hurt so much. I want to know how you're going to deal with me on this in a friendly manner and knock this stuff off. I am trying. You go down there day after day after day after day. That site is the same. Somebody's not trying. And it is your responsibility in the county of St. Louis, because their machinery is there. Somebody needs to take care of that before somebody, and we are not only invited, we're welcome to go there. We're encouraged to go there to recycle it, and I do that. We have one earth, and I'm just one man trying to do my part, keeping it clean. When people are encouraged to go there and there's broken glass everywhere, and the fence is broken and snagged, and the camera says smile, and the cables are dangling in the wind, and we know there's only snow on the TV screen somewhere. I want
Okay, we get the
peaceful
point.
resolution with this. I really, really do. But if I get more grief than I can handle, I'm gonna call that law firm. I'm gonna ask for help. And I'm gonna ask for something in return. I don't wanna go that way. I will. I'm not afraid anymore.
Why
I
would
have
you be
all-
afraid?
Because I'm outnumbered and I'm a gentle giant. I'm a Christian by choice. I'm not a bully.
There's a city ordinance.
Mr. Mayor,
That's what
you
they go
cannot abide by your own ordinance. That's my point. That's where the discrimination comes in. When you have a public site that is far more hazardous than my private property, and I understand somebody's complaining, and twice the sitting judge, Mr. Brunfeld, told me I can face my accusers, and you told me no, I can't. Well, my neighborhood is full of wonderful people, and I have a couple of whack jobs out there too. And I have another opinion. If it's old Joe Begich, I will double down my efforts. I love that old man. He has served us well. And I once jokingly threatened I was going to write his name in for mayor because he's a talent that shouldn't be wasted. If it's old Joe Begich, because he drives around a lot, I want him to feel like where he lives is worthy of his accomplishments. He shouldn't be some old Russian general stuck in some old concrete building and forgotten. He should have it nice out there, and if it's him, I'll try even harder. But I want you to understand, I know black from white now, and I know that what you're doing is the same as I'm doing, and you wrote those standards, and you're not living up to them. And that's where the discrimination comes in. Now, I'm going to shut up for a minute and let my pulse settle down a bit, and I'll let you talk, but we're not done, okay?
Well, you know, that's up to you. This is a free country. You can do whatever you want, but
No,
as far as...
it's not free.
Yes, it is.
I am a veteran. There
It
are
is free.
13 million of us that fought for those freedoms. It's a free country if somebody's paying for it.
Well, you
I
know,
don't want
you're-
thank yous. I don't want parades. I just want somebody with some compassion and common sense to understand I'm trying.
Well, when you get Mr. Carlson in the Holiday Inn, we have tried endlessly to work with him, and I've talked to him personally, and I've been led astray many times. And if he's such a dedicated person in this community, there's a ton of back taxes owed, street assessments, nothing that's getting satisfied.
He
And no
lost
attempt to
13
satisfy.
income properties
Well,
in a
that's
flood
not
in
our
Duluth.
issue. That's not our
You don't
problem.
expect Noah and the Ark to be going down the hill in Duluth. He lost 13 working capital incomes, sources of income.
Well, that's-
He's trying very hard. Now, he's not so comfortable with this PhD, doctor, professor, but he was in Texas for the last 4 days trying to work things out.
When that sign went up for that hotel, I went on a website and looked at it. It looked like it did in the 80s. I'd buy it. It looked so good. And that's kind of misleading everybody, what that hotel looked like, but that's here
Listen,
nor
if you-
there.
If you would sign a waiver saying you're a big boy and you're not gonna get hurt, I will put you in gloves. If you want a hard hat and a headlamp, I'll walk you through that and let you see for yourselves what he has done. So what, you don't see what's on the inside. The outside isn't as pretty as it used to be. I DJ'd up there for many years. I have history with that place. I love the place.
Oh, I did too. I went there a lot before.
We deserve to have that back again. We deserve something nice like that. And the other failing heartbeat is, where the hell is Highway 53 gonna go? Do we have any choice in that matter? That's a coin toss. That's all up in the air. But he has courage and faith, and he's still trying. And now I see that fire going out of his eyes, and that breaks my heart, because he came up here thinking he would do something good and he'd be welcomed. And like I say, he's not a really sociable person. He was a farm boy and bullied when he was little, or he was a hockey thug, but he wasn't a big man. And he feels threatened by this council. He's had a few bad experiences, and now he's a little gun shy. I don't blame him. How many times are you going to kick a dog before the dog bites back? What did the dog do?
Well, do you think that's fair to the community, not paying your share of the burden
Wait a
for the
minute.
upkeep of the city?
Wait-
No, you
wait-
wait a minute. No, I'm
okay.
gonna talk. That's the biggest building in town, taxes on it, made no attempt with the county or anybody to reconcile any of that. Then the deal when his former wife, that was between the city of Eveleth and him, he made every effort to get it back and continue the same course of action. I don't have to go in that building to know what it looks like, because there
should.
is nothing going up there as far as materials. It's been snowed in most of the winter. You know yourself what it looks like in there.
I do.
And he had a bunch of open dates, and his son was here that night and said those weren't realistic, when I asked him point blank.
That was 2 years ago. I was here. I stood up and defended that boy because
Yep.
you and our
I gave him a lot
were
of
giving him a
credit,
hard
boy.
time.
He was to come up here and speak before us, on what was going on. And he said he
See,
told
that would
Channel
have been
10 that
his
the thing was
legacy.
gonna be
When
open.
Dad died, his son would have been in charge. Ryan would have been running the place, and he's a good kid too. But
No,
you're-
because we don't care who opens it. We'd like to see it up and running, but
I
that
get
don't
that.
look like that's ever gonna happen.
he was led to believe that when the Koreans, and I'm not being racist, when the Koreans that owned the Days Inn got their IRRB money, and then all of a sudden there's a big new Days Inn expansion in Duluth and they're gone, that's none of my damn business. But they left the gas bill, and somehow he was told he was responsible for somebody else's bills. I don't like paying for other people's mistakes. Now, I'm not gonna tell him anything. I want everybody to just take a breath and work together. Freedom isn't free. We have to fight for it. We have to work together as a team. You get a lot more done when everybody's singing from the same sheet of music. It sounds not too bad. But when everybody hollers and they point fingers and you're a nut and you're a nut and you're lazy and I'm nuts too. I married an Eveleth girl and I agreed to live in this town for 20-something years now. Her sisters and all their husbands ran off to greener pastures, and I'm 3 miles from mother-in-law, and she's up by the football stadium. The winds come across, go up the bleachers and dump 30 feet of snow on her yard this year, and who shoveled it? Tarzan.
Well, like I say, I must be nuts too for giving some people a benefit of the doubt, but that's kind of the way it is. We all
That's
got a little
human nature.
we all got a little
That's
eccentricity.
compassion, Mr. Mayor.
hope is what you have.
Yes. And had the floods not wiped out Carleton County and Duluth 2 years ago, he would still have 13 monthly working capital incomes supporting him. Now, you say you haven't seen any deliveries. I get that. But there's, I don't know how many thousands of square feet of carpeting that I helped him bring into that building 2 years ago, sitting in the giant auditorium, gymnasium, swimming pool, whatever you call the recreation area. He's been repainting, he's done ceiling tiles, he's doing ceiling drains, he's right now in Texas, as I mentioned earlier. Much carpeting is done. He spent $60,000+ buying new water pipes, because when you have that much capacity to flush 80 toilets at once and there's hardly a trickle going through, you would have cried to see the corrosion and the buildup in his old piping. He's been investing in it, and he's hurting now. His wife's hurting him, he thinks you're hurting him, the economy's hurting him, and I feel bad for him. Like I say, I always stick up for the underdog, because when I was young, I wasn't terribly little, but when I was young, I was bullied. And now that I'm as big as a house, I don't have to suffer that anymore. And I sobered up a long time ago, and I realized that the hurt people feel when things like this happen, and even if you don't think you're doing it, it's happened.
Well, we
You
asked
need to
them
get
many
past
times
that. I know that,
what we can do to help them open it.
but he's afraid if he goes with IRRB grants and your grants and these and those, he loses control over something he bought with his own money. It's a bad feeling to have something like that, and your investors come in and say, well, that's fine, but we're not gonna call it the Hat Trick Inn, we're gonna call it Lower Slobovia, and we're gonna have dancing girls and change the whole dynamics of the place. He wanted a family-friendly, sports-oriented place, and we need that here, we do. There would be hundreds and hundreds of part-time jobs, dishwashing, laundry services, maintenance, housekeeping, front desk, cooking, bar staff, hundreds of jobs, college students, high school students doing the lawn work. It would boom. Everything went bust on him at the wrong time or at the right time, and he still has it in his heart to do it, and I'm rooting for him. I understand you have your reasoning too, but I don't want to talk about that anymore.
No, I'm gonna
I really
have
want to
to-
deal with Larry Gold and his little funny farm in West Eveleth, my little 1/3 of an acre. And to put things to scale, I grew up on a 130-acre horse farm with barns and this and that. I had room to grow and to do things and to build and fix or deconstruct and recycle. I'm not afforded that right now.
Well, Larry, I'm gonna have to move on with the rest of the meeting. We only allow a
Okay,
few
well,
minutes.
let's talk about the piece of paper I handed you.
Yep.
I can understand the complaint about the household junk, but everything on my
Okay.
property, other than some antique boats, are licensed, and those boats aren't on the water, and they're not going anywhere fast, they're being restored. And somewhere in that paragraph, it says tractor. And it makes me chuckle. Why shouldn't a farm boy have a tractor that it's been in his family for 44 years? It's got a snow bucket, and had I been quicker, luckier last year, I probably could have made some good coin with that tractor last winter, this winter, the snow yesterday again.
But the chief can tell you with the ordinance, what's there. If something is licensed, then
But
maybe it's
how-
okay.
How do you excuse yourself from the ordinance that you write when this is what we look at? When Dan and Sonia Simonson have to pick up your stuff from their yard, the Bantams kid just quit. Some of those photos you see aren't on your property, they're across the alley on the neighbor's property. It came downwind from your side.
You got one residence, you're there. We got 3,800 people in town, that's what ends up there. Because not everybody is diligent about
that.
doing the right thing.
I get that.
And, you know, that's the price we pay.
Again, I'm hoping it's not below their dignity to every day just go there for 2 minutes. My father used to say, son, if you clean the horse barn every day, it'll only take you an hour. But one teenager and 25 horses, that was the most miserable hour. I'd rather sit in a dentist chair for an hour than clean that barn every day. And I can see why maybe they don't want to spend 5 minutes. In the military, it was simple. Everybody went out, you did police calls, all they saw were and elbows. If it moved, saluted. If it didn't, pick it up and throw it away. It was cleaned. It was done every day, and it was easy. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking that if you're gonna say my place is a mess, that you understand before you is proof that yours isn't so swell either, and yours is public. People are encouraged to go there. And if somebody were to get hurt and sue you, I wouldn't say I told you so.
Well, you made your point a couple times, Larry.
Good.
And, you know, I appreciate you coming, but we're gonna have to move on. But you've got the city attorney and chief will help you out.
I don't need help.
You know,
I need some time.
interpreting
And as I
that.
say, I walked into a full-time job, God bless everything. It all just strange. Walked in and what are you doing? Pack a lunch. And now 8 to 5:30, even Saturdays. But it says I have 2 weeks. I'll find a way to get that cleaned up, but I don't ever want to have to go through this humiliation again.
Well, I'm sure there's some flexibility if you start and you got other things going on.
I'll have mine done before yours is fixed. I guarantee it.
I ain't gonna bet against you there.
Okay?
I think you're gonna
But look
win.
at the power you're dealing with. You have an army of well-paid union employees that could pitch in 5 minutes, 20 of them. That's 100 minutes. That's an hour and a half worth of effort in seconds and done.
Well, I gotta move on with the agenda
Let's do
here,
it.
Larry. But
May
I appreciate
recover
your
my
concern.
stuff? You do
We got your
understand,
stuff.
you do understand that not only is there a willingness to fight for what little dignity I have left, but I have ammunition now. I don't wanna rattle sabers, but I will. Okay?
Don't belittle yourself. You got plenty of dignity. You know what I mean?
Well, it might look like that. I put on a brave face, but the little boy in me is
Hey,
almost pissing
don't-
myself.
Don't belittle yourself. That's what we're here for. We'll see what we can do. We appreciate you coming and
And
be
as
doing a lot of other things.
As I say, there are copies, 27 photos that have already gone off to another law firm and they're waiting for a red light, green light situation. So where do we stand in the next 14 days?
Well, I suppose that's up to Mitch, or what,
Where we stand in the next 14 days is what's in that directive.
Yes,
So clean it up pursuant to that directive. If you don't, then the procedures and the ordinance will be followed by the police department, and we'll go to the next step.
I
If you have-
understand
so that's the directive that's been given to you by our blight enforcement officer. We either comply with that directive and get it cleaned up. If you don't, we'll go to the next step in the enforcement process. And if you want, you'll have your opportunity in court. If this ends up with a citation and you end up in court, you'll have your opportunity to state your case to the judge at that point in time.
I won't be alone when I do that, Mr. Blumenfeld.
And that's
I
your
get
pro-
that.
and
But
that's
I
your
want,
prerogative.
I want you to explain for all of us, if you would, what you would define as equal rights here. Are you as the council going to do something at least?
We're done with this discussion.
We're
We're
done
not
with
gonna
this.
get
We're
into
moving
debate.
on.
I'm the only one here, and I know you'd
Yeah,
like to
and
get
it's,
out
and
in
it's under
record
the
time. I
agenda, it's a
get that.
5-minute time limit.
Yeah, we got 5
And,
minutes, like you
and
get
the
15.
mayor is the chair of this meeting. You owe him the hold on, you owe
You're
him the
trying to
respect.
explain to an army
You owe
sergeant the
him-
chain of command, and I understand what
Mayor?
insubordination
I have
is.
the floor,
I'll
Mr.
leave
Mayor.
now. I'll leave now.
Mr. Mayor, I have
Yes.
the floor, if you would please give me the floor.
Yes, you
You're
do.
welcome.
You are acting out of order. You owe the respect of the mayor as the chair of this meeting to conduct yourself according to his rules. You have a 5-minute time limit under the agenda. Your time is done.
Yes.
And if you don't, if you persist in this and you don't abide by your 5-minute time limit, which you've already exceeded, you're gonna be out of order. And then we're gonna get law enforcement involved.
You realize I'm not a threat. They're here. They don't.
I understand, but if you're not complying with the rules of decorum at a public meeting,
Yes.
that is disorderly conduct, and
I
you will
get
be
that.
cited accordingly.
Okay.
You have the directive from law enforcement on the blight enforcement ordinance. You follow that directive. If it's not followed, we will go to the next step in the enforcement process, and this discussion is over with.
For now, sir. And thank you very, very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Item G, consent agenda, approval of payroll, April 1st through the 15th, claims April 2014, probationary employee Michelle Hardy, status changed to regular employee, and temporary lease agreement between the City of Eveleth and Dr. Draper.
So moved.
Motion made by Peterson, do I have a support?
Support.
Support by Koivunen, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carried. We have no public hearings, no unfinished business. Under new business, item J1. Resolution accepting donation for a national night out for $1,267.40, Laurentian Chamber of Commerce.
So I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Do we have a support to that motion, accepting that?
I'll support, it's a no-brainer.
Motion made by Peterson, support by Koivunen. Any further discussion?
Yes, I would just like to point out where these dollars came from. Several years ago, Eveleth Horizons was a a volunteer group in existence here in the city who had received grant funds to do good work in the city. When that group disbanded, those dollars went to the Laurentian Chamber to host events and do other community activities here in the city of Eveleth. Since then, those activities have not occurred, so the Chamber has dispersed these funds to our National Night Out event, and in addition, the 4th of July committee. So I just want to give the history on those dollars, so folks are aware where they came from.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Item J2, consider accepting bid for Hay Street Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project for $135,146 from Jola and Sop. That's who we recommended, Mike.
Yes, that's right. Hold it.
I was so moved.
Motion made by Koivunen. Do I have a support?
Support.
Support by Lillis. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3, consider accepting bid for 24th Street and Alley Improvement Projects. Are we gonna go with the ad alternate here? Alternate number 1 on the bid?
Yeah, I guess, if the bid unit prices that came in for the ad alternate, certainly seem acceptable, so, it just would be a matter of your choice whether or not you would want to select that ad alternate as well.
Everybody in agreement? Should we go with the ad alternate on that from Masabi Bituminous? We have a motion that we accept the bid of $417,500.50.
So
I'll make the
moved.
motion. I'll support it.
Motion made by Koivunen, support by Hadrava. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item J4, consider accepting quotation for 2014 sanitary sewer cleaning and televising project.
So moved.
Motion made by Peterson. Do I have a support?
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. J5, consider approving pay request number 1 for City Auditorium renovation Phase 2 project. That is an amount of $59,090.
So moved.
There's support.
I'll support it.
Motion made by Peterson, support by Hadrava. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item 6, consider approving final pay request to St. Louis County for SAP, that's Grant Avenue, Park Avenue again? Mike, is that?
That's correct.
Oh,
2010 project.
That's been done for a couple of years, eh?
Yeah, I think they just recently closed out the project.
Okay, we owe them $29,968.58 or 52 cents. We have a motion that we approve that final payment to St. Louis County.
So moved.
Motion made by Peterson. Do we have a support?
Support.
Support by Koivunen. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Consider accepting quotation of purchase for 2,300 gallon refuse dumpsters in the amount of $5,922.60. A motion that we approve that purchase.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Hadrava. Do I have a support?
I'll support.
Support by Koivunen. Any further discussion?
Are we gonna put them in my alley, Mike? My alley, the longest, narrowest alley in town. You remember where I live, right?
Yeah, I can't really recall.
Dumpsters are emptied on Tuesday, and Wednesday, they're over full again, and every dumpster in the neighborhood could be cited for blight, so.
We can certainly look at the capacity in that block. That was checked here, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years ago or no, it was actually longer ago than that. It was probably close to 10 years ago. But I can certainly double check the capacity, make sure it's adequate for the number of customers.
Seems like everybody went to spring cleaning right away this year, so what a mess.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 8, consider approving payments for thawing 2 frozen water services and 1 frozen sanitary sewer service.
So I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Peterson. We have support.
I'll support.
Support by Lillis. Any further discussion?
These are two that, are, obviously are on our side in our issue, so they're in unique situations.
Yeah, they work because of a frozen main. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item number 6, consider authorizing construction of an addition to the golf cart shack. Joe, you want to add a little bit here on that
Sure.
committee there? Looks like a good project there.
Well, it's come up a year ago, we were looking at this, and it was gonna be about 35,000 to put up another building. And of course, we didn't think it was feasible enough. So now we're reapproaching it, we're adding on to a cart shack, and we'll have 23 spots, and we have 19 on a, waiting list now. So our turnaround on this will be approximately 3 years to pay for everything, so hopefully it'll work out good and, it'll help the golf course. So with that, I will, make a motion.
I'll support it.
Motion made by Koivunen, support by Hadrava. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor,
Opposed?
Mayor, I must abstain. I'm the manager of the youth build program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perceived conflict of interest.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up, you know, I'd have been losing sleep over that one, Beth. Item number 10, consider authorizing the purchase of a new riding mower for the Eveleth Golf Course, 5 Season Sports, amount of $8,505. And were we gonna add the bagger option on there?
We were gonna add the bagger option of 1,600 if they so need it,
Yeah, okay.
And with that, I'll make a motion.
and I'll support it.
Motion made by Hadrava, support by Koivunen. How old is that mower, Mike? That's gotta be a lot of years.
Yeah, we're guessing probably over 20. I think our personnel, city personnel have been at the golf course, I think for 17 years. They said it was there before they started. Didn't look new. I don't think it owes the city a dollar. Got our mileage out of it.
That's a pretty good lifespan. Okay. Do I call for a motion already on that?
Yep.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item J11. Consider approving 2014 golf course rates.
So I'll make the motion to approve these with just some language change I offered to Mike.
Okay, do I have a motion made by Peterson? Do I have support to that?
I'll support.
Support by Koivunen. You know, they adjust these rates every year, and you should do that just for the expense and the costs. If you let them go too long, then they really get, out of hand for adjustments you have to make.
Well,
It's
what
good
was
every
our
year to
last
revisit
one?
it, this.
Mike, when was our last one?
A few of these were revised last time in 3 years ago, in 2011. I think there was, the golf cart rates haven't been revised since 2001. They're really old.
It's good to revisit these on a regular basis, so the rate increases aren't so shocking. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item 12, consider increasing adult casual hourly rates. Do you have anything on that?
We talked a while back about our
remember
casuals, like, out at the golf course. I think we have Stebble, Lee, and then Nuzzles around. We were, talking about pushing them to $11 an hour, if I'm not mistaken. That's how it went. And then I think we're gonna go up a little bit on the other casual.
Because we've been at that rate for
We've been at that rate.
quite a few years.
Yeah,
I
at
think.
$9, and, I look at it with the minimum wage going up and everything else, I think $11 is good because they're out the golf course working. I mean, it's not lots of money, but,
Well, they got the experience. You're getting the same ones every year. They know what to do.
well, I look at it as they're working 60 hours, 60 shifts a year, close to it, and then they're done. That's closest we got to a full-time employee, so I think they should be compensated to at least $11 an hour. So with saying that, I will make that motion.
Mayor, I have a clarifying question. So is that, are you changing the adult rate for everybody or certain people that have been here a certain number of years?
Well, I don't remember how we did that.
I think we had
Mitch, they could make a rate for some longevity, right?
I think that's how we looked at it before.
Yeah, council's discretion. I mean, you can do it as a flat rate applicable to all casuals, adult casuals. Or you could do, if you wanna, add some extra pay in for people.
Well, these
who
guys have
here
been with
longer.
us for a while, them three have,
So if you've been here 3 years or so,
3 years or longer, you get $11 an
Yeah.
hour.
that'd be okay, Mitch, to do it that way?
Sure, it's really your discretion, yeah.
And raise the base rate to $9 an hour?
Yep.
Okay. Because what were we at? We're pretty,
I think we were at 7 something,
That's
then
what
we
I
went up.
thought. yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we gotta get with this, and of course, it's your discretion if the people aren't working, you take care of it like you normally would, but I mean, if we pay these people well, they should be picking up garbage here and garbage there, and cutting grass here, and shoveling sidewalks here and there, and
So I have another clarifying question. So if you want to take the adult casuals that have been here 3 or more years, right? They could go to $11 an hour, and students you want to raise to $9 an hour?
That sounds.
Or
about
did you
right.
mean, or did you mean all the other adult casuals, $9? What did you mean? Because they
I thought we-
currently, the adult casuals right now currently get $9 an hour. Are we just raising the casual rate for folks that have returned for 3 years or more? the adult?
I would think raise all adults to 11 and students to 9. Would be my suggestion.
How is that from a legal standpoint there, Mitch?
In terms of,
Rate adults, where do you consider 18 or older?
oh, sure, you can differentiate, I think, between student workers and adults.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't
I think
wanna-
typically when we talk about casual laborers, we're typically talking about more of the adult casuals who might work at the golf course.
If I could clarify, Mr. Mayor, typically where we use adult casuals would be at golf courses, one example. We might have someone at Veterans Park occasionally. We use these people for recycling. The student casuals, the students that we have in the summer that work the 2-week program. In fact, I wanted to bring up at the administrative presentation, we don't have many students signed up for this summer, so I wanted to get word out to everyone that the program exists. But that's usually the 2-week program that we have in the summer. Also, the adult is our student crew leader. We pay them adult casuals. Adult casuals could be recycling, mowing grass for us in town, golf course, Veterans Park, also our students.
Okay,
And so if we do 11 for all adults, then it takes away that 3-year
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
yep, that'll go away.
And that's fine, these people have to get paid something.
Yeah.
I mean, the cost of living isn't going down,
Well, the $7 was getting a little light, you know.
so like I says, with that, I will make that motion at $9 for students and $11 for adults.
Okay, do I have a support to that motion?
I'll support it.
Motion made by Koivunen, support by Hadrava. Any further discussion? And that will take effect this year, right? We're gonna do that this year? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried. Item number 13, letter from the 4th of July Committee. Joe, you wanna elaborate on that a little bit? You're more familiar.
Yes, I will. It's kind of ironic because it was about 25 years ago we started a street dance. I myself come up with an idea, and Bradley and Keith helped me bring this along. And I'm just gonna say this quick, that our expense account back then was $900. I went and got $100 from each bar, and I threw a couple $100 extra into it, and we had no idea what it was gonna turn out to be. And these guys did a lot of work, and the city of Eveleth let me do it. And now, the expense account for the 4th of July committee is about $45,000. And it's really come a long way. You know, my sister's a big part of it, so I'm really kind of proud that it's kind of like stayed in and it kept going. And they have a heck of a crew working on it, you know, John Marcaccini, the whole crew. So I guess where I was going with this is that the city donates $2,500 to them, and the rest come from private, you know, contributors. So if you like to come to Eveleth for the 4th of July, just any donation is good, you know, $5, anything you can spare. Because we're up to about 10,000 people in town at night, and it is something to see, if not over. So, you know, it's a good time. And with that, I will turn it back to the mayor so he can announce the Grand Marshal.
Well, I think that's gonna be a pretty familiar name. Louis Mewich will be the Grand Marshal, longtime resident of Eveleth, for our 4th of July parade, and since the size of our parade is known statewide, that's a pretty good honor.
When a politician show up like crazy, it's good.
Yeah, from all over. And we have to approve their request. Motion?
I'll make a motion
Okay.
for the donation.
I'll support.
Motion made by Peterson, support by Lillis. Any further discussion? And Tim, you can accommodate them for what they need.
We'll try.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And that concludes our regular agenda for this evening, and Beth, do you have anything to bring up at this point?
I did, but it just left me, so give me a few minutes.
Joe, you have anything else to bring up? or-
No, I think that was just about it. I'm just about talked out.
Brian, you have anything to add tonight?
No, sir.
Brad?
Well, I'd like to thank Larry Bowl for bringing some issues to our attention and speaking his mind very passionately. Not everybody will do that as easy as he did. So it takes a lot to come up here and actually voice your opinion in front of us and on television, and he did it very well, I thought. But he was very passionate about his thoughts. With that, I don't have anything else except go wild. And they've been playing for about an hour, so hopefully they're winning.
Well, you know, Larry's lived in this town a long time, and he does get passionate. That's why I didn't feel the 5 minutes. You know, he doesn't come up here very often.
Yep.
Let him speak his piece. We don't agree on a lot of things, but it feel better that somebody listens to him. And I appreciate him taking the time to come up here. We have definitely some issues. We all know that, but we've got some meetings coming up. Beth, I know you were involved. I know
Yeah, and
it's
that's
on-
exactly what I was gonna talk about, so if you wanna take it away, you certainly can.
No, I'm gonna give it to you now. You were at the meeting. A rental housing program management with the blight.
Yeah, so some
Paperwork there.
time ago, we as a council wanted to prioritize rental housing management and rental housing code in the city, and we want public input for that. So we've devised a schedule so that citizens can come in and speak to staff who are already working on a code about their opinions and issues that they're seeing, so that we can correct those and make sure they're covered in our code. So May 27th, all interested residents who would like to come can come here to City Hall at 6:30 p.m. to discuss the code and what they're seeing in the community. On May 28th, landlords and other interested parties can come in and speak again at 6:30 here in City Hall. And then May 29th, any tenants, so anyone who is renting here within the city, apartments or homes or otherwise, can come in at 6:30 to speak with city staff. In addition, we'll have some legal aid resources on hand so that folks can understand tenant and landlord rights and responsibilities on both sides. We're all responsible for our property, as we've talked about tonight. So that's really exciting, and I hope a lot of individuals can come in and share their ideas for the community.
I know we've been talking about this for quite a while now. It's kicking off, and I hope everybody will come with their concerns, because we all live in this community. I know we all want to make it better, and we have the opportunity to do something about it.
And I just have one last thing, man. So a couple weeks back, I had a little fire at my house, so I want to just extend my appreciation to our staff here, the police, the ambulance, and the fire crew that came out. Wasn't too much damage, but they still were very professional and assisted my kids, who were all in uproar and whatnot, so. So I just really appreciate that.
Chief, you have anything to add?
Mayor and Council, obviously, after tonight's meeting, blight season is upon us. Calendar parking has ceased until October, but over the last week, 2 weeks, we have seen a very big increase in the blight complaints. We're working diligently on each one of those, and hopefully we're going to be able to spend a little bit more time trying to get out and look at some of the other properties. We're just asking the residents in the community to try to keep their properties updated, try to keep them clean. If you have any issues or questions in regards to what actually constitutes blight, we do have a posting downstairs on the bulletin board, or please just stop in at the police department, give me a call or one of my officers, and we'll explain it to you. Or if you have a property that you feel needs to be looked at, let us know as well.
It's a never-ending, situation, but just got to keep after it. Like I say, what's in the eye of the beholder, you know what I mean? What's blight and what's not, and what's the value? But Mike, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, a few things tonight, Mr. Mayor. First, I touched on earlier, we offer the student casual program, employment program during the summer. You work 2 weeks, 40 hours a week, mowing grass, trimming trees, picking up garbage, that type of thing. You just raise the hourly rate to $9 an hour. I looked here a couple weeks ago, we didn't have any students sign. I remember not too many years ago, we used to have students here on the 2nd of January signing up for the summer program. So I just want to get word out to everyone that we're looking for students this summer. Good pay, not too bad of work, so stop by City Hall up to the front counter and they'll sign you up. You have to be 16 years of age in order to be a student captain. The second thing is refuse collection continues this week and next week at the city garage. We're open this week from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., next week from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And also next Monday, we begin the yard waste pickup in the alleys. So that's some yard waste, get out there by Monday and try to pick it up.
Are we thinking of doing any extended hours for the refuge down there at the city garage? As of tonight, we had an issue with somebody who couldn't get there in time. We're having a very tough time doing that. So are we looking at extending some of our hours to accommodate some of our residents?
I guess I hadn't heard that request, Councilor Hadrava. Certainly, I guess the situation we get in is if we start going too late in the year, it just ties up our personnel from doing other work. But certainly, if you're getting a lot of feedback that we should continue it, we could certainly do it another week.
I was thinking later into the evening, into the day, Mike.
Okay.
People obviously work, some work 8 to 5. You're operating from 8 to 6. By the time they get home, it's that time. How do they load their truck, make it to the garage in time? They can't physically do it. So I'm thinking extended hours, 7, 7:30.
Oh, okay.
Something along that line, and that's why I was asking that question.
Oh, okay, yeah, because last week and this week now we've been open till 6. And I guess I'd never heard the request for even later than that. Something we could certainly look at.
Well, as he just stated, you know, our hours are his hours are 8 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Our hours are 8 to 6. You know, clearly it's hard to get here on time with an hour to go.
That's a legitimate concern,
It is a legitimate
you
concern.
know, the
So,
timing there.
maybe we should look into something, extension a little bit.
Couple days a week, maybe?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, I wouldn't have to go beyond that. You know, that's a
For at
legitimate
least the last
concern.
2 weeks, at least that way it rolls over and gives anybody working till 5 o'clock time to get there and do something.
Anything else, Mike?
We did send out a notice in the last utility bill. We've asked people that have been running water to continue running water until May 15th, and we gave them a few locations where they can get information in the event that we have to extend that beyond the 15th. I certainly hope not. We're seeing indications that the frost is starting to come out of the ground. It certainly isn't safe. I heard there are some other communities in the area that asked their people to quit running on April 30th, and I understand they have had some services freeze up. So closely monitoring this and hoping for warm weather, the frost get out of the ground, and summer actually take off. But again, continue through the 15th. I think there were 4 media sites, and obviously calling City Hall is an option to check prior to the 15th in the event that we have that for another week. And also the Veterans Park campground is open for the season, and the Eveleth Golf Course. So word out to everybody. Some of the greenest grass you'll see is at the Eveleth Golf Course. A lot of brown, but a lot of green.
It's all that fertilizer you bought. Eric, do you have anything to add?
I have nothing to add tonight unless you have questions.
Well, you and Mike spent a lot of money tonight.
Eric, a couple of weeks back or a month or so, I brought up that we had problems with the lights on Jones Street. I did see somebody there working on them, and I have not noticed them going off. So they must have been an easy fix.
Good.
Just so you're aware.
Okay.
Jackie, you have anything to add tonight?
I do. I just wanted to let the public know that I'll have Stephanie put a link on the city website regarding property tax refunds. So we owe our first half property taxes on May 15th. We've all done our income taxes, and some folks may be eligible for property tax refunds. So Deputy Clerk maybe will put something on the website about that that can lead people to the Department of Revenue website for the appropriate forms and instructions.
Okay. Mitch, you have anything to add?
Nothing more from you.
Anyone from the audience have anything to add? Well, if not, I will adjourn tonight's meeting.